Sega.
You can prepare all you want, but when it comes to race day, sometimes the split-second decisions can mean the difference between victory and defeat. In our last video in the series, we're going to walk you through what it takes to give you the best possible chance of victory. I'm here with Christian West, who is the Chief Technical Officer here at PlaySport Games. Christian, just before we start, can you talk a little bit about what you do on the game?
So I'm involved with the gameplay programming, the artificial intelligence, and getting the race simulation into a really good fun place that kind of mimics what you see on television at the weekend. Great.
And in our last two videos we were talking about building the team and mastering the tech.
Yeah.
But now it comes down to it will be win the race. So what we're going to go through today is you're going to walk us through a little bit a race weekend and show us what players can do in terms of options of what they can do at the track and what they can do to prepare for it.
With the game, you've kind of got two major aspects to it. You've got the kind of management side, which is like building the team, developing the car. These are your kind of long-term strategy decisions. And then the race day itself is all about getting the maximum from the car possible. So it's all about finding those kind of tenths of a second that will get you a better result than you really should have with your car. And this is where it all plays out. So in practice, you're kind of building up knowledge of the track, of the tyres, building up knowledge of different race strategies, and developing the best setup you can to get the maximum performance from the car, and also getting a kind of an idea of the track conditions. Each circuit kind of has different amounts of grip or tyre wear, so it's about kind of gaining that knowledge really.
So we can see that we've got our two main drivers here, but we've also got our reserve driver. So we can actually put our reserve driver in for practice as well to get their experience level up a little bit.
Yeah, you can, and they have different kind of feedback knowledge and track confidence as well. So if you have a reserve driver who's got a lot of feedback, it's going to help your engineers get more information on the ideal setup, and that will improve your performance through qualifying and race day. But obviously it kind of comes at the cost of one of your main drivers getting to know the track a bit better. So you're paying the price in one way, but gaining in another.
And also from a build the team point of view, you can also see that our reserve driver here is potentially going to be a better driver than our number two driver at the moment. So we kind of want to get their experience.
Yeah, our reserve driver could potentially be better than both of our main drivers, so we've probably got a future world champion in the making.
Especially when it looks like their feedback score is more or less the same.
Yeah.
So when you go through a practice session, you'll then come to a screen after this, which has not only a driver report, but you've got a media report as well. Yeah,
you do, and it gives you that feedback of what happened. You get an idea of how the AI drivers got on, how your rival teams got on, and what they were involved in as well.
Okay, and it's not really it's not as formal as say a press release coming out. It's almost like a Twitter feed that comes through.
It is. It's kind of that quick reaction to a session that you see on television. It's getting ready for the next session, and there's a bit of kind of initial feedback, but they don't really have time for anything more, so it's quick little bits of Twitter.
And you get some more honest feedback as well, rather than just a race report.
It can be quite brutal at times, yeah. Okay, so qualifying is where the race weekend really gets started, and it's about getting your car into the optimal conditions and the optimal setup, and getting all your temperatures into the right zone so you can really maximize the performance you get from the car and get the best lap time possible. And two guys in the garage here, people are starting to head out for their fast lap at the beginning. You can see that weather condition wise, it's looking kind of stable.
Yeah, we're looking a bit overcast, but it doesn't look like there's a chance of rain yet.
Doesn't look like there's going to be rain yet, but we can only actually see a few minutes into the future.
Sure, and at the moment we can see there's not that much grip on the track either, so that's going to go up the more that cars start running.
Yeah, and there is a prediction. There is a prediction there that it's going to go up. So,
right. Okay. So we can kind of, if this is our first session jumping in as a new player, we can kind of predict when is going to be the best time to go out.
Yeah.
But a smart player will be able to get better and better at it as the time goes on.
They definitely will, and they'll be able to predict better. And if you've been upgrading your headquarters and your telemetry centres and things like that, you're going to get better predictions here, and you'll be able to see further into the future as well. Let's send out our drivers. We'll start with this guy. And we didn't do practice, so we don't really know what the ideal setup is, but we'll pick the fastest tyre for the session, which is the super softs. They wear out a bit faster, but you can get much better lap times from them. And I would imagine, looking at our standings here, everyone else is going to be on the quickest tyre at this point.
And we're only really going for one hot lap, so it won't really matter too much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, tyre wear isn't a major issue here. So here we have the outlap optimization panel, and this guy's now on an outlap, and we can ask him to speed up and slow down. You'll get straight away the visual impact of that on the screen as well.
Right,
so you can see that he's
so this is to get the brakes on the tyres at the optimum temperature to be able to do a quick lap.
Yes, and if you nail this, if you get it absolutely perfect, you've given your driver the best chance of getting the optimal lap time from the car. However, there's a chance he might make a mistake. Sure. That's your signing that you did before the race weekend, was to make sure that you have confidence in him. But he might be junior. He might, he might lock up into the first corner and ruin that outlap when you've just perfected everything. You see, I've left it sped up a bit too long, and everything's overheated. And I've overheated everything, so it looks like he's probably not going to get the best lap time. But if my car's really good, I might still beat my rivals.
Right, okay. So when they're going out for their outlap, you're actually giving them constant feedback on the condition of the car and telling them how to optimise it for when they finally cross the line for that hot lap.
Yeah. So let's kind of set this up properly for North here, because we didn't do a very good job with our last driver, who's currently down in 20th, but I think still out on their fast lap. 2 green sectors, so it's not going too bad. And the brakes, you'll see the temperature kind of goes up as soon as they hit a corner.
So she's crossed the line in 17th, so that's not actually as good as the other driver, but that's I guess comes down to the driver and not just what we've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we gave North the better conditions to get across the line in the fastest time possible, but she didn't do as well. But just before we go to race day, we can actually preset our driver strategy. So whilst they're in the cars on the grid, we can tell our drivers to either take it easy at the beginning of the race. All the cars are grouped together at the start. There's a chance of having an accident, making a mistake.
Sure.
Or say if we're maybe second, we're sitting second on the grid at this point, you can tell your driver, let's start with everything turned up and be aggressive.
Right.
And, hopefully get first place at the first corner. Sure. But there's a chance they might make a mistake.
So depending on where you start, if you're at the front, you kind of want to fight for position so that you can get clear. But if you're in mid-pack, you probably don't want them to have a crash in the first corner. Yeah,
and at the same time, if there's a championship on the line, maybe you've qualified down 11th, but you need to finish 5th. You might at that point say, let's go for it. Let's go for it, or the opposite, really.
So depending on where you are in the season as well, you might change your strategy.
You might, you'll react differently accordingly. I think to begin with, I like to kind of sit back and watch the start of the race and kind of see what happens, and hopefully we'll make up some positions. Looks like we didn't get the best of start from 11th. North still down in 17th, and we'll see how we get on at the first corner. Bit of chaos at the front, and it looks like a couple of people changed positions, so Wexler's managed to get up into the lead.
We can actually see on the left-hand side, there's actually a lot of drivers on different tyre strategies at the moment, but we can also, on our screens, we can see what tyres our drivers are on, what condition those tyres are in, and also our fuel gauge and what strategy we're on.
Yeah, you can, and we get a little more information about our cars, but you can see what your rivals are doing and get an idea from that as well, and kind of build your strategy around that. One of the options that we have at this point, with North going up into 15th place, is that we can tell her to turn up her engine mode, and by turning up her engine mode, she's going to drive much quicker. She's getting a lot more speed down the straights as the engine's pushing out far more power, but it comes at the expense of fuel, and you'll be kind of managing your fuel throughout the race.
Sure. So as we said, she was going to put more pressure on her tyres. We've actually just had a message come up saying her tyres are getting worn, so we're probably potentially going to have to think about bringing her in for a pit stop soon.
Yeah, we will. So for the time being, we can actually ask her to conserve the tyres and kind of eke out the rest of the performance to go a little bit further. But as we're pitting this lap, let's get some extra lap time out of the 30% that she has left and ask her to push. Yeah, let's ruin the tyres to the end of the lap. So we're on lap 5. We've managed to it looks like we've managed to get we'll probably get about 6 or 7 laps out of this, out of the super softs, probably 6. There's 11 laps of the race to go, so I don't think, unless we're going to stop again, super softs probably aren't the way to go.
So if we're going for a one-stop race, we need to go for a harder tyre,
yeah,
or a more durable tyre.
Yeah, and in this instance, let's go with the medium. It's a bit slower, but it's going to last longer. It might get us to the end of the race. So,
and we've got a few other options in terms of fuel, and if any of our parts are broken as well, we can replace them in the pits.
And you can see that in this championship, refueling is an option.
Right.
So depending on the championship that you're in, or the way the political votes have gone, refueling is banned or re-enabled as time goes on. And in this instance, fueling is something that we can do. We've got 11 laps left, and we should probably leave it with 3 extra laps of fuel in so we can actually get to the end. But we could decide to overfuel the car at this point as well.
In case we wanted
run
to
around with the engine mode turned up. The car's going to weigh a lot more. It's going to cost a bit of lap time and weight, but with the engine turned up at that point and pushing these medium tyres a bit more,
she'll be able to be a bit more aggressive for the rest of the race rather than having to conserve that.
And she's 8th at the moment, and let's try and push through the field on those medium tyres.
All our parts are looking okay at the moment?
They're looking okay. The gearbox could be a problem on the front wing, but yeah, it looks okay. I think we'll leave them as they are. And the pit strategy wise, we can go for a safe pit stop if we want. Pit stop will take a bit longer, but you're nearly guaranteed to make sure that all the wheels are on the car at the end of the pit stop. Or you can go fast. A couple of second pit stop, really push the
But at the risk of potentially getting something wrong.
Exactly, making a mistake, losing a whole bunch of time.
You might end up with a slower pit stop.
You might do. You might do, but if they get it right, it might be worth a position or two.
So Vasquez is back out on the track again now. He's got fresh tyres on.
And 4 laps of fuel.
But he's going at a reasonable pace. I mean, we can see the relative pace compared to the other cars on the track.
You can. If we turn everything up, we should start getting potentially some fastest laps.
Okay, so because he was down half a second, but we had him on quite a conservative strategy. So we've now turned his engine mode up and aggressive driving style, and already we can see his pace come up. And
we're starting to get him complaining about the lack of fuel in the car,
which is
He's
not
worrying
surprising.
about it. And drivers, they have different personality types, and different drivers will react to different ways to certain situations. This guy's not that happy about being out with not that much fuel. He's starting to worry about his strategy. Even though this is me saying, just listen to his boss.
So drivers can not necessarily ignore you, but they can question whether you're making the right decision.
Yeah, they can, and they definitely do. And you can give them team orders as well. So if our drivers are stacked up near to each other, you can actually ask them to either race or you can let them through. And your drivers don't always listen to everything you say from the pit wall.
But we can see with Vasquez now, because we've put him on such a light fuel load and fresh tyres, he's now set 2 personal bests. Well, not 2 personal bests, 3 session bests.
The fastest of the session, yes. That's the fastest lap of the race so far.
So a decision that we made in the pit stops is actually put him as the fastest car on the track at the moment, even though he's still at the moment at 4th place. But he might be able to get those positions as the other cars go into the pits. So we've set our drivers now on a reasonable strategy. We might as well fast forward a little bit towards the end of the race. So we've come down to the final lap. We've got all our parts failing. We're running out of fuel, but we're still in 5th.
And Jenny's having trouble as well. So my car is probably not that reliable.
Right.
Not done that good in pre-season.
So that's going to be something that you'll have to, once the race is over, that's something that you're going to have to go back and do in the factory. You're going to try and have to...
It is. I think it's quite clear I'm going to have to work on reliability once I get back to the factory, once the guys get home to the headquarters.
But we've taken the decision to leave them out there. And it looks like, at this point anyway, that Vasquez is going to come home and... Oh, he's actually gained a position.
Managed to finish in 4th.
He's gained a position in the last few seconds. So we haven't won the race, exactly.
We haven't. Not even a podium position.
No, but 4th, it's a decent amount of points.
It's not too bad.
For the first race of the season, reliability is potentially going to be low. And this... if you've just started a career and this is your first race with the team, you kind of need to bed yourself in and understand where to start. And as you say, we now know where to focus some of our development work. It's on reliability.
It is on reliability. Maybe a bit of speed as well. 11th and 17th on the grid. We'll go for some speed and reliability.
But that might be our strategy as well. Okay, so we didn't quite win the race this time, but as you say, we know where to focus on. So for next time, whether it's the next race or this race next season, we know hopefully we'll have developed the car a bit better by that point and our race strategy will be better as well. And I think that will do it for Win the Race. Thank you, Christian, and make sure to look out for the release of Motorsport Manager on the PC this September. We hopefully know what we need to focus on, and I'm just sorry, the engine, engine just blew up and it distracted me.
That's really what I wanted to happen in the race.
That's it for our mini-series. You can catch parts 1 and 2 by clicking the links on the screen, and make sure you keep up with all the latest from Motorsport Manager by clicking the subscribe button below.